Hi, and welcome to East Carolina Roots. Well, tomorrow is Saturday, and we have that predicted snow day. So I thought this was the right time, even though I don't feel totally ready to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it so that everybody will have something to dive into tomorrow. And I hope that you will. I hope you'll all just be as amazed by this as I am. You already know from the subject of the video that this is about Levi Morris or Levi Morris. I always thought it was Levi Morris, but I didn't come from a branch that had that name pronounced in it. I do come from Levi Morris, but I come from him from when the older Levi Morris was alive, not subsequent generations. And so I didn't know that they pronounce it Levi. I always thought it was Levi. Anyway, you already know from the subject of the video, this is about him. What I have and what I'm going to be showing you, and there's an accompanying post on East Carolina Roots about this that's going to get published at the same time as this video, is his 82-page pension packet. I had no idea how much information was available in a Civil War pension packet. I knew that there was a pension request by his widow, Sarah Holmes Morris, in 1866 after the Civil War was over and he had died. I assumed he came home and who knows, maybe he just continued to have health issues or maybe something else killed him. Maybe it was a heart attack. I mean, it could have been anything. I wasn't sure. I just saw that one document about the pension record and ended up learning that pension records can actually be a wealth of information for Union soldiers. Not so sure about Confederate soldiers, but I know for Union soldiers, they can apparently be a wealth of information. I had learned about a service called Gopher Records from a young lady named Lauren Hall, who's on Ancestry.com. I've communicated with her a lot because she comes from the Elisha Morris family from Beaufort County, North Carolina. And if you followed East Carolina Roots, then you know that I've wondered whether or not Laban Morris might be connected to Elisha Morris because Laban, we can't go further than him on the Morris thing. But he does seem to have a lot of connection to collateral lines or things relating to Elisha Morris. Elisha Morris was always neighbors with John Holmes. Laban's children intermarry with John Holmes' children. So there was a lot of reasons for thinking that there might be some connection there. In any case, Lauren and I have messaged each other back and forth quite a bit over the past few years. And she let me know several months ago about a service that she used to get some information about one of her ancestors that actually has origins back in Beaufort County. She used Gopher Records. Now, you might have already heard of it, but it was news to me when she told me about it. So I went to Gopher Records a couple weeks ago and put in an order. Actually, it might have just been last week. And I put in an order for the full Civil War soldier packet on Levi Morris. I uploaded the few screenshots, captures that I had from Fold 3 from both his Confederate papers and his Union papers. But because of the fact that I knew he wasn't in the Confederacy long and he left and ended up joining the Union instead, I decided to focus on the Union papers. It's pricey to get that whole packet. It actually ended up being, for me, it ended up being around $60, but I'm a member because I have ordered something from there before. They were very quick about getting that packet to me. Last night, just before I went to bed, I happened to check my email, which I shouldn't do. I do it sometimes. And I got the notification that my packet was ready. So I immediately paid. It was after midnight. I immediately paid. And on my phone, I went ahead and downloaded that packet of information, that PDF, and started looking at it. And I was enthralled. I was up until 2 o'clock reading through this packet, just poring over every page, going back and checking the ancestry tree, filling in dates that I didn't know before. For instance, his birth dates for all of his children, the exact death date for Levi Morris, the death date for his wife, the death date for his daughter, his only daughter, and so many little things. So I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning last night poring over it. And then I woke up this morning and I printed the whole thing out and I went over it all again. I was showing all of it to my mom and telling her But there's just something about getting the details in a packet like that, because what you get in the pension packet is statements from actual witnesses, statements from people who were a part of the soldier's life, who knew him. If he died, they're able to talk about his when he died, they're able to talk about other genealogical information. In the case of Levi Morris, it was heart-wrenching what was in those pages. Part of me just wants to just jump right into it and tell you, but part of me thinks maybe I should bring up the documents. So I'm going to do a screen share and go through some of the documents here. If you don't want to listen to me talk about all this, you're welcome to just leave this video and just go right over to East Carolina Roots and go to the post yourself, and you can read about everything and get to the pages. But there are 82 pages. So in this video, I'm going to jump ahead to some things that I think you might be most interested in, the things that I found most just that just really tore me up. Honestly, it tore me up. So let me share my screen. All right. Okay, so now I have the PDF opened of the pension packet. As I said, it's 82 pages. I don't know, hopefully you can see that in my browser. 82 pages. This first page just has the name of his surviving children. Sarah first petitioned for a pension, like I mentioned, in 1866, which was I think it was like 10 months after he was discharged from the military. He was discharged in July. She petitioned the next year. And it was uneventful. She dropped it. She actually, it's a sad situation. She died in 1870. You're also going to learn in these pages that, and if you already know about Levy's family, you know his youngest son was born not long after he died. So we're gonna see all of that. So this first page just has his surviving children in this particular pension packet. William R., which would be my second great grandfather, William Rowland Morris, George G., and then Levi M., who is, from what I understand, Levi Macchester Morris. So let me just jump on ahead. You have a lot of pages like this. They're just sort of these folio pages. This is the summary of everything. This is what the results of all these 82 pages comes to this, which is the names of the children and who they are, what they're going to get. First of all, minors of Levi M. Morris, rank private, Company F, North Carolina 1st Regiment. The rate per month that they're getting is $8, commencing July 8th, 1865, ending August 2nd, 1881. An additional sum of $2 per month for each of the above named children until arriving at the age of 16 years, commencing 25th day of July, 1866. Here's the thing. None of this was actually approved until like 1891. So all of these children were adults by the time that they got this, and they were paid the money in arrears. So we'll just scroll down to some of the most interesting things. I'm scrolling past some of this. I'm going to put all of these pages on my site because this belongs to all of you, my Morris cousins who come from Levi Morris and who come from some of these people who have affidavits in here you're going to be interested in. This is just talking about the children's pension. I'm just going to keep scrolling. I know this might seem a little disorienting. Okay. All right. This just says declaration for pension or for increase of pension of children under 16 years of age. It has the date on this 10th of October, 1890. Personally appeared before me a clerk of the Superior Court of Record within in the county aforesaid, William R. Morris, George G. Morris, and Levi M. Morris, guardian of, and give names of minors. So this is the names of the children of Levi Morris. Of course, by 1890, they are all adults, every single one of them. And this says here that Levi Morris was in Company F of the 1st North Carolina Volunteers. He signed up. This day and the month is marked out, but it says 1862. In the War of the Rebellion, he died July 8th, 1865 at Chocowinity. So now we have his exact death date. I always knew he died sometime before 1866, but when Sarah put in her petition, but I didn't know when. But now we know he died July 8th, 1865 at Chocowinity. Okay. It says he died from chronic diarrhea and the results of that. We're going to talk more about that later. I learned while I was exploring all of this and talking to Google Gemini to learn just more about this history. I've never been a Civil War buff. I'm really a bigger fan of the Revolution. The Civil War stresses me out just because I know what it did to families. I know what it did to the region. But nevertheless, I definitely learned that more people, apparently more soldiers died from dysentery during the Civil War than they died from being shot for the most part, which is shocking, but that was apparently true. So it says here, the said children were the issue of the soldier. The dates of the birth are given here. William R. Morris by Sally Morris, which was Sally Holmes. That was her maiden name. Born May 30th, 1858. George G., born September 10th, 1860, and Levi M., born August 3rd, 1865. So little Levi M. was born less than a month after his daddy died. Poor Sarah, when Levi got back to Chocowinity, and you're going to find out about all this, was 8 months pregnant. She was ready to have birth with that baby, and all of this stuff unfolds. I'm telling you, this will make you want to cry when you learn about a lot of this. So you've got down here signatures of William R. Morris, William Rowland, George G. Morris, and Levi M. Morris, the children who are now of age. All right, let me just keep on scrolling. A lot of this stuff is just procedural. What I want to get to are the affidavits, because that's where the stuff is that's going to really tell us exactly what happened. Okay. There's lots of good stuff in here. You'll learn a lot of good stuff, but I'm not going to keep you on this video for like 2 hours or anything. There's more specifics, general stuff. Okay, here we go. Here is the first affidavit. This one is just from W.H. Ellison. He's just explaining that he spoke with different people. He was able to get some affidavits, and he's submitting those affidavits about the children and about all the things that they need to know for this whole pension application to go forward and be taken seriously. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling. All right, this is the affidavit of Jethro Nobles. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. All right, now hopefully everybody can see it better. All right, it says, on this 24th day of June, 1890. So this is, again, many years after Levi actually died, but we've got Jethro Nobles, 50 years old, appearing, and this is what he says. I knew Levi Morris well. He was sound and healthy man when I first knew him. He contracted chronic diarrhea while in the Army near New Bern, North Carolina. I can't tell what that says, prison camp thereof. He was sent to the hospital, afterwards discharged, unfit for service, and died a few days thereafter. Oh, wait, this might say poison. I don't know. Some of this is hard to read. If you have ideas about what some of these things say, please leave it in the comments, because I'm just not sure. Let's see, near New Bern, North Carolina. Okay. All right. Anyway, it says William M. Lewis, whose post office address is Washington, NC, age 54 years, being duly sworn, says, I have heard this affidavit of Jethro Nobles read. I am personally acquainted with all the circumstances and all the statements as made as something of my own knowledge. All right, so that's just sort of a generic thing saying, yes, I've heard all this. I know all this to be true from my own knowledge. All right, then this is a letter. This is a personally appeared Pamlico District, Roland Morris. So this is Roland Morris, Levy's younger brother. This is the youngest of all the sons of Levi Morris. It says, personally appeared before me, clerk, U.S. District Court, Pamlico District, Roland Morris, who being duly sworn according to the law, deposes and says that he lives in Pamlico County, that his post office is Grantsboro, in the county of Pamlico, that his age is 57 or 59 years, that he was a private in Regiment F, let's see, F, 1st Regiment, North Carolina Infantry, and that he enlisted on the same day with his brother, Levi M. Morris, that he served with his said brother, who died of chronic diarrhea in July 1865, about the 4th day of said month, that he was treated for said disease first at Morehead City, though not bad enough to go into the hospital, that in June 1865, he came with the regiment to New Bern, North Carolina, and went to the hospital and stayed there until a short time before his death, when he went to his home about 28 miles from New Bern in Beaufort County, where he was carried in a cart, only living 2 or 3 days at home. That prior to going into service, the said Levi M. Morris was sound and well and perfectly strong while in service till spring of 1865. That Levi Morris was married to Sarah Holmes, and affiant was present at the marriage of said parties of Chocowinity, at Chocowinity, 9 miles of Washington, in December 1852, and that said wife is dead, leaving heirs Sarah Clark, now dead, leaving one child, John Henry Clark, William R. Morris, George, it looks like D. Morris, but I sometimes see G, so I don't know which it is, Levi M. Morris, all of whom were minors. Levi M. Morris, the soldier, was never married before, nor was his widow ever married again. All of said children are now of age except Levi M. Morris, and he, the said Roland Morris, further says that he is no wise interested in the prosecution of the above claim, sworn to and subscribed. So that was all just general language, but then there's Roland Morris's signature. So those of you who come from Roland Morris, there's your ancestor's signature. Now, he mentions up here about that he died around the 4th day of the said month of July. Well, you can see why he might say that. Levi died July 8th. Obviously, the 4th of July, like that in Roland's mind, he might have been like, oh, my brother died around the 4th of July. You know, he might have been thinking about it that way. So he might not have had the exact date in mind when he made this statement. I did think it was very interesting that said he was first treated for disease at Morehead City. I don't know enough about Civil War history to be able to know exactly what that means. I was talking to our cousin Mike Morris today, and he was telling me that there was a Civil War camp at Newport, so I don't know if it would be referring to that, or if maybe there was an actual place in Morehead City. I know about Fort Macon. Of course, that's on, that's over on across the Sound. It's on the island at the end, like past Atlantic Beach. So I don't know if it would be talking about Fort Macon. I don't know what Morehead City was referring to here, but apparently they were there. And apparently all of Carteret County was under Union control at this time. So, but then again, he came with the regiment to New Bern and went into the hospital there and stayed until a short time before his death. My read on that is that he was bad off, but he didn't want to die in the hospital. He probably felt like he was close enough to home. He wanted to go home and see his people one more time. So that's why it says they took him home on a cart, 28 miles. And I want y'all to think about that now, July, and he's sick as a dog, and it just breaks my heart. So, and how would anybody in Chocowinity even know he's coming back? How would they know he's on his way? And how would they know the condition he's in? It's just really heartbreaking. All right, here's another one. This is a further statement from Roland Morris. It's not going to really have a whole lot more, other than he does mention in this one that let's see. He said that his symptoms were on account of the I don't know what that says right there. Bad water and surly cooked food, and being more or less attached with same disease for some time before this date of his death. He was sent to the hospital at Newbern and discharged with balance of I don't know what that says, on June 27th, 1865, and was sent to his home in Chalkwinity, Beaufort County, North Carolina, and was very sick. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling. Here's the next affidavit. This one, y'all, this one got me. This one really got me. I mean, everything broke my heart, but this one really got me. This one was Harvey Edwards and Jane Edwards. I come from them too. They're my grandparents. They're my second great grandparents as well. Levi Morris, of course, is the son of Laban. Levi Morris, his son, William Rowland, was my great great grandfather. Well, Harvey Edwards and Jane Edwards had a daughter named Serena Edwards, and she married William Rowland Morris. So William Rowland and Serena Edwards were first cousins. So they both, I mean, they got married, and it was actually William Rowland's second wife. He was married to Serena Wiggins first, and then he married Serena Edwards when Serena Wiggins died. But anyway, Harvey Edwards and Jane Edwards were Rainey Edwards. That was her nickname, Rainey. They were Rainey Edwards's parents. So this is their statement. Jane being the sister of Sarah, who was Levi's wife. So all of that in context, here we go. That they were well acquainted with the above named soldier and present at the house and at his bedside when he died from chronic diarrhea on or about July 8th, 1865. Y'all, this is it. This is what gets me. That further state that the said soldier was brought to his father's house in said village of Chalkwinity, North Carolina, a few days prior to his death, having just received his discharge from the service. Y'all, his father's house. That means Laban Morris was still alive in July of 1865. I knew he was alive in 1860, and I knew he wasn't in Craven County anymore. He was in Chalkwinity. This probably just literally was him just crossing 17. He was probably on the Vanceboro side, and then after his wife, Kitty, passed away, he moved across Highway 17 and over into Chalkwinity, probably to be close with some people that maybe were a family that was living over there, because he had children who were married to the Holmes, and so it makes sense that he was right over there around them. But so the thing is, he would have been about 84 years old when Levi was brought up into his yard on that cart after coming that long journey, 28 miles from Newbern, sick on his deathbed. I mean, you can just imagine. It says they further state that said soldier, well, see, I read that part already. Discharged from the service, and being well acquainted and invested in him, they went to his room often to see him and offer their own personal knowledge that he had chronic diarrhea when brought home and died from the results of the same. The said affiant, Jane Edwards, further avers that she sit up with him and helped to nurse the soldier from the time he was brought home until his death. I'm not going to read the graphic details here. I'll let you read those. But he says he has terrible pains and cramps and finally died from malaise and exhaustion caused by said disease. And there's the signatures of Harvey Edwards and Jane Holmes. Well, actually, it was Harvey Edwards' mark, and then Jane Holmes, Jane Edwards, her signature. All right. Now we're going to go to the next affidavit. This one is William W. Galloway and John Edwards. These are the undertakers. That they are well acquainted with family of deceased soldier, And remember when he was brought home from the army in summer of July 1865 that the affiant William W. Galloway was in the undertaking business at that time and was called on by family of soldier to prepare him for burial and make his coffin. And that said affiant, John Edwards, assisted him in making said coffin and other work necessary. On preparing his remains, they found him very thin and emaciated, and from all indications and I think that says surroundings were at that time satisfied that he had died from disease of the bowels. That from their personal observation, they are satisfied his death was caused by camp something or chronic disease. Camp something chronic disease, a malady very prevalent among all men who had been in the army, and from their own knowledge, they knew he was buried near, they know he was buried near when he died in early part July 1865, and only a short time after he got home. All right, and there's the signatures of William W. Galloway and John Edwards. All right. Here's the next one. This is Sophia Morris. So this is the wife of Roland, who we heard things from earlier. Sophia was another sister of the Holmes girls. There was Jane Holmes, who was married to Harvey Edwards. There was Sarah Holmes, who had been Levy's wife. And then here's Sophia Morris. She was Roland's wife. Sophia is going to refer to Levy as her brother and Laban as her father, but she's talking about her brother-in-law and father-in-law here. If you know who these people are, you understand all of this. That she was present at the house of her father in Chalklinity, Beaufort County, North Carolina, in the last of June or first part of July 1865, when her brother above named soldier was brought home, being by a neighbor, Mr. Joseph Hill. So Joseph Hill was the one who brought Levy home on the cart. And at that time, she said Levy Morris was very bad, and what proceeds to describe the disease again, and died from the effects. That she knows this from personal knowledge and observation, and because she was at that time an inmate in the same house with soldier and present at his death. In other words, she was staying in the same house where he was at the time he died. And I imagine the whole family was there because they hadn't seen him this time he had been in the service. All this time they hadn't seen him, and he's there and he's in the room, and they know he's leaving this world. They're all just trying to spend whatever time with him they can. And the brothers are there, and it's just really sad. All right. Let me come down here. This is just another letter about the situation. I think you get the idea of how things went with Levy Morris. I'm not going to read any more of these. I'm going to let you all go to East Carolina Roots and dig into all the rest. This is one from John Norris. John Norris was the son of Levy's sister, Alpha. Alpha Morris was married first to a man named John Norris. She had multiple children with him. One was John Norris Jr. and one was Patrick Norris. Patrick Norris also served in the Union, but at the time of all these documents, he was, I think, already living in Carteret County. He had moved down to Carteret County. But John Norris Jr. was still around, and so he does an affidavit. So he's doing an affidavit for his uncle Levi. Again, I'm just going to let you all dig into these papers and read them. They're all over on East Carolina Roots. There's a familiar name, Sinclair Lancaster. This is not the Sinclair who was like a peer with Laban. This is a Sinclair who would have been, I think, the son of Jesse Lancaster. So that's who that is. So Charles Sutton is another name. So these are all familiar names we've all seen in family trees and genealogy and whatnot. And it's just amazing to see all of these people come together, and they're all making statements for the sake of trying to make sure Levy's children are taken care of, that they're able to get that pension. which was still ended up being pitiful. I mean, especially since they got it so late. I mean, how long were they, struggling, not having money and everything? But thankfully, they ended up getting that pension. This one page here does mention about the fact that there's a family Bible belonging to the said soldier, and it had the birth dates of the children. So that's got the record of the birth dates. You will find that there are a few places in here where dates are slightly different, but I'm going with the ones that you see the most. And so these here, for instance, for the Bible record, I would be going with these. September 10th, 1865 was when George was born. Levi M. Morris, the son, the third, that son who died a month after Levi was born August 3rd, 1865. And let's see, William Rowland Morris was born May 30th, 1838. So I think that you all will hopefully enjoy going through all of this. And if you have any commentary on what some of these things say, or if you're wondering what some of the things say, put it in the comments either below the video or on the article itself. And maybe we can help each other if we're trying to make sense of what certain words are that are hard to make out. William B. Morris's signature is here. He was one of them that left an affidavit. This William B. is not the William B. Sr. who was a brother of Levi, but this would have been Levi's nephew. William B. was one of Laban's two oldest children. John was the oldest, and William B. was the next oldest. I come from William B. and I come from Levi. But this William B. is William B. Jr. So you'll see that there's Wesley B. Morris's name over there. You're all going to see so many names in here that you're going to recognize. Anyway, this is it. This is the end of it. So I thank y'all for watching this. If you stayed this long, I hope you enjoy looking at all this. I won't say it's a fun experience, but it definitely makes you feel closer to the whole family, just to know what our grandfather went through, know what our family members went through at this really just difficult time. All right, I hope everybody stays warm. Again, tomorrow is Saturday. They're calling for all that snow, so stay off the road, stay in your houses, and stay warm. And I look forward to hearing from y'all in the comments or send me an email. All right, bye-bye.